What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here, and today we have some nearly brand spankin' new Destiny 2 news courtesy of the Bungie Weekly update that contains a bunch of new official Destiny 2 information. I do apologize for being a little bit late with this info. I had a family event earlier today. Yes, I do have to do things other than just furiously play Destiny 2, but there is some very, very important information in this update that I wanted to get across to you guys. It is kind of a smaller update, but that information contained within is super important to anyone specifically who is planning on going for a run of the brand new raid coming with the Black Armory expansion and releasing on December 7th. So let's hop right into it. So first off, the new raid is called Scourge of the Past, and like we went into with a previous video, although this was once referred to as a raid layer, its scope has become a lot bigger than that. It's much more substantial than something like the Eater of Worlds or the Spire of Stars, so Bungie is referring to this as an official raid. It's not going to be as big as Last Wish. In fact, they say, quote, Destiny raids have come in many shapes and sizes from Crota's End to Last Wish, and Scourge of the Past falls within that spectrum. So bigger than Crota's End, smaller than Last Wish, to what varying degree we don't exactly know yet. Now, another interesting thing about this raid is that Bungie says that raid layers were extensions of existing raid settings, but Black Armory's Scourge of the Past doesn't fit that definition. It takes place in a new setting, tells its own story, and isn't related to the events of the Dreaming City. So that's kind of cool. It's its own contained narrative, separate from the events of Forsaken. But getting into the nitty-gritty information, this raid will release on Friday, December 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific. So 9 a.m. is when this raid goes live. Another important piece of information is that the recommended power is actually going to be 640, but there is no minimum power requirement. Any Guardian who owns the annual pass can drop into this space and explore. Good luck. So that's crazy. So you can potentially be, 500 light? It doesn't matter. You can go to this area. You're not going to fare well against the enemies. You're going to be facing some immune enemies for sure, but maybe you can explore. Maybe you can even make it to a raid chest. This opens up a bunch of different possibilities. Now, that number of 640 is very, very interesting. The power level cap with Black Armory is 650. That's the new max. And 640 is extremely close to that value. If we look back at the Last Wish raid, the recommended power level was 540, I believe, and at the end the enemies were 580, 590. Like, it was extremely steep progression throughout that raid. That's like a 40 power level difference between when you enter the raid and then when you exit the raid. But I mean, this is only a 10 light level gap we're talking about between what's recommended and what's the literal max. And what that says to me is that this raid is probably going to contain enemies, especially near the end, that are above that 650 maximum power level. You're probably going to be fighting enemies that are 670 or potentially above to make things difficult. And whether or not that's going to work out is definitely to be seen, but that actually is a pretty steep gap of 40 power level in only 3 days from when Black Armory comes out and when this raid launches. Now, speaking of that climb, Bungie actually went into specifics on some very important information for those of you really thinking about taking on this new raid at release, and that means you're going to have to power level ferociously. So, Bungie says that, again, all players who own Destiny 2 Forsaken may reach the new power level gap of 650, like we've been over. The soft cap will remain at 500 power. That's really important. So that means if you're just turning in tokens, for example, to the Vanguard faction and you're getting rewards, those are still going to be all dropping only up to 500 power until they're affected by the catch-up mechanic, where all loot you obtain is around 15 power levels below what you are. But another piece of information is that players under 550 power should expect to see prime engrams more frequently and receive higher power bumps to help them reach end game levels. So kind of just helping the more casual players out. If you are below that, definitely you're going to have an easier time reaching 550, and then kind of the real grind would begin, I would say. And that's actually, you know, good news for anyone who maybe recently upgraded. The game was free on PC only weeks ago. Those players are much more likely to get raid ready for Last Wish for sure. Another point here is that powerful reward sources will remain consistent for those who own Destiny 2 Forsaken. And to me, that's saying that all of your dailies, all of your weeklies, those are still going to progress you in power roughly the same amount as they did with Forsaken when Black Armory launches. So, you know, the daily Gambit stuff and the weekly Gambit stuff, that's not capped at 600. That's still going to help you advance. And as soon as the power level is increased, you can start earning stuff above 600 from all those sources. Another point here, there will be new powerful reward sources for those who own the annual pass. So that's another very important piece of the puzzle. Right now we have the same sources of powerful gear that we've had for a very long time with Forsaken. So we've got, you know, Dreaming City, I've mentioned Gambit, Vanguard, etc. We all know them. But this is saying that on top of all of those powerful gear drops, there's going to be new specific powerful gear drops coming with Black Armory, and I bet you it's related to those forges. And that's good news. It's going to help you level up more efficiently and hopefully help you reach that 640 gap in those few days before the raid launches. Remember that these new powerful gear sources are likely to be mentioned within the directory, and you'll see another little symbol beside them if they are a powerful gear source. So don't just like grind constantly a forge that isn't necessarily dropping powerful gears. Perhaps it will have the same weekly progression as strikes, where once you get that powerful gear drop, you don't get any more. So be paying attention to what the directory is saying is dropping powerful gear, and don't just keep grinding blindly to no avail, essentially. And the last thing we're going to mention is that the Veterans Bundle, which is available to anyone who purchased Forsaken before October 16th, is apparently going to be rolled out in update 2.1.3, scheduled to release on December 18, if you're wondering where those things are. And Bungie released previews of the emotes. Here is Coin Flip, and then moving on, here is Knife Trick. And you'll notice that the Guardians in those videos are equipped with the new Veterans shader as well. Alright guys, there you have it, and hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. And if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. Again, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.